I had to leave the country fast. I'd been involved in a poultry scandal that went bad. There was only one chance, a 2-bit private airline called Little Big Wing. So I approached the counter, told the guy, I need a flight out of here really fast. It was then that she stepped up, a tall, slender bird in a manager's uniform. She said, I'll take over for you, Tony. Tony left. And I noticed by the name tag, her name was Sheila, who said, leaving town in a hurry, are we? Sheila pretended to be looking at the terminal, but actually her eyes were reading me like a cheap dime store novella. I replied, that's right, I'm on the lam because of some chicken business. Holy cow, she said with a smirk, dimples turned up on the corners of her kisser. I hate puns. To add insult to injury, she then said, that must be a real nightmare. She chuckled. Look, Sheila, let's say we drop the barnyard puns. Can you get me somewhere not here and in a hurry? She purred. Well, that depends. And she scratched her chin with a blank luggage tag. Leaning over the counter a bit in case I was reading her flirtations right, I probed, on what? On which island I want to spend the next week, she giggled. Sometimes my instincts are uncanny. I sensed there was more to this less than oblique pickup line. Is this a love connection, or are you also running from something? She leaned in and confided, I have to get out of this country too. I've been banned. Banned, I asked. For thinking the wrong thoughts and saying the wrong things. You see, I own this flying gin joint, and ever since we chartered a flight for the wrong political party, we've had all of our accounts shut down, data deleted. No advertising means no customers. No customers, no company. So you're just running. She said coolly, going to another country, making a clean break. That's when I decided to help her. Look, Sheila, you don't have to run from these troubles. What they did was wrong. Lawyers call it tortious interruptus or something like that. Interference, she corrected. Tortious interference. She looked up for a moment like she was thinking and said, yeah, that might just work. But I can't afford legal help. All of our cash is run dry. Join together with others. Reach out to an authorized agent for information rights. You know, like our friends over at the Piracy Co-op. They let you file complaints against these cyber-bullies right on their website. Maybe they can hook you up with others doing the same thing. The flirtatious look on her face was replaced with the stealing moxie of a businesswoman's scorn, and hell hath no fury like it. Yeah, Sheila's taken her neighborhood back for the good guys. She looked down at her terminal and asked, how about Barbados on me? I asked with a wink, how about you and me on Barbados? She handed me my ticket and said, not today, flyboy. I have a chicken or two of my own to roast. So remember the lesson of Sheila, in a network where they buy and sell your secrets with cryptocurrency. It's good to have a friend who values your rights. I'm blank, Private Eye. All right. All right. Hello, data taters. J. Oliver Glasgow here, saying RML Business Consulting was digitally murdered by tech companies now acting as sovereigns. Who is that? Stay tuned and make sure to hit, subscribe and that bell thing for a reminder. Like, follow, and share, and welcome to another thrilling episode of Private Eye, the show that explores all things privacy without digitally squeezing you out of existence. RML Business Consulting, a business that publishes technical and privacy articles and produces talk shop TV programming, was squashed last January for a second time when the members of FANG shut down a platform of 2.2 million and digitally murdered 70,000 other people in separate actions. Which brings me to my first topic. Do you remember that drunk party where you wore the Twitter sucks t-shirt? Well, Jack Dorsey has decided that you don't matter enough to exist any longer. Nobody wants to be digitally squeezed out of existence. Well, practically nobody. There is that alt site for chairmen that want to be squeezed. Don't squeeze the chairman. It's amazing what you can do with cropping tools these days. This has become an issue for everyone. Tech giants are in full force using tactics they developed to squeeze out the competition. And now they're using that to snuff out you or any business or group they simply don't like anymore. Just this past week, one day after we aired our blockbuster episode on data genocide, Facebook deleted a group that had 77 million members. Did you get that? As if to make our point for us, Facebook deleted the Jerusalem prayer team and I quote them, for spam and inauthentic behavior. You see, the group had enemies that apparently posted 1 million toxic posts and then claimed that they didn't do it, but that the Jerusalem prayer team actually posted them. So let me get this straight. A prayer team hacked 1 million accounts, pretended to be their enemies, and then posted vile hate speech against the people they were praying for? And Facebook believed it? Wow, you could dry that one out and fertilize the lawn with it, for crying out loud. Well, come on. Facebook deleted the largest Christian organization on Facebook because they wanted to. When big tech wants to squeeze you out, they're going to just squeeze you out. We're actually waiting for them to stop making lame excuses about it. They act like we don't know. And watching them gin up these silly cover stories is just tiresome and boring. We stopped falling for that with Cambridge Analytica 3 years ago. Well, in January of this year, Amazon followed Google and Apple and egged on by Facebook and Twitter and used or misused a business agreement to unplug several servers that were being rented by a social platform of 2.2 million people called Parler. This week, we wanted to investigate if this was truly an otherwise victimless crime, as they say. Was the only company hurt by this organization attack Parler? Or were there some innocents that were also digitally murdered through Amazon's use or abuse of an agreement with Parler? To help us understand this more, we have joining us tonight one of the victims, the founder of RML Business Consulting, who happens to be an expert in the fields of privacy and technology security, Mr. Rex M. Lee. Let's bring you into the studio now. Rex, how's it going? It's good to have you here.
Great, Jay. Thank you for having me on your show.
It's good to have you here. Hey, listen, Rex, on the show, we always start every interview. There was a famous French philosopher. His name was Bernard Pivot. I slaughter his last name. I think I pronounce it wrong every single time. But he used to ask people 10 questions, the same 10 questions. And what I do with interviews, I started off, now we're a nonprofit, so we can't afford all 10. So we can do 4.5, right? So this is a modified and heavily redacted set of Bernard Pivot's questions. So the first one, Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Trek.
There you go. Go ahead.
I was just going to add, a good friend of mine showed me the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars. Star Wars, mysticism. Star Trek, culture.
I like it. That's pretty good. What is your favorite number?
10.
10. Good. And what profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
I was a budding actor in the '80s, and that would be a fun profession to attempt.
Yeah, you were in a movie, right? A TV show? I
Yeah,
think it was.
actually, I did some commercials, and I was a bit player in Legend of Billie Jean with Christian
That's
Slater, Helen Slater, and Dean Stockwell and Peter Coyote. It had a pretty good cast in it.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. What is your favorite flavor?
chocolate, without a doubt.
Chocolate. There you
Yeah.
go. And now this is the half question, so don't let it throw you. I got to stop halfway through, but the question starts: who would you like to?
Who would I
That's it.
like to have met? I would like to have met Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. Okay, very good. All right, Rex M. Lee, successful new tech startups, Fortune 500 enterprise sales, device and data security expert with over 35 years of experience. You are now starting up cybertalktv.tv. Lots going on, and your business was crushed by Fang in a day. Did this? Did they mess with the wrong guy?
Yeah, for your audience, if you want a little bit of background on me, I'm also a freelance tech journalist, and you can review my articles I've written for the Epic Times. I wrote almost 20 articles on tech for the Epic Times, which is relevant to what I believe, was the digital genocide of my business. So if you Google Rex M. Lee and Epic Times, you can pull up my author page and read the tech articles that I have written, which all are relevant to this story as well.
So tell me about the run up to January of this year. You had all of the success going; things were going
Yes.
well. What was going on for RML Business Consulting at the
So
time?
let me rewind back to about July of last year. I started beta testing a new format for articles. So I've written a lot of articles, not just for the Epic Times, but also Mission Critical Communications Magazine, the Vision Times out of Australia, Money Masters, and so forth. And so I came up with a new concept for articles, which is videocast articles. So I was taking what is basically a print article with a lot of research, a lot of time that I put into my articles, and then I formatted them into a visual media that I was canning and then rebroadcasting on social media. And the first run of this was Cyber Talk USA. It's defunct now, not to be confused with Cyber Talk TV, but Cyber Talk USA was the first run at this. So I beta tested the format from July to October of last year. And I finally got the right formula together in terms of time, length, and subject matter. And I started collecting a lot of views. Well, about August, I was
How many views?
I was
Was
well,
it when you say a lot? What's a lot?
yeah, let me get to that real quickly. In August, I was running the beta testing on mainly Twitter, and then suddenly I was my account was suspended because Twitter said I was violating their rules as if I were a bot. And we'll circle back to this. Well, a few months went by and my account still was not unsuspended because I kept contacting their customer service to tell them I'm a journalist, not a bot. I'm a journalist. Check my articles out. They're non-political, have nothing to do with Trump or anything like that. And then that downtime forced me into exploring other social media platforms. So I decided to put my video cast articles onto Parler, as well as LinkedIn and some other social media sites. And I had a lot of success. In October, I started seeing not hundreds, but thousands of views per video cast article.
Wow.
And
So
so that told me the reason I was doing this, Jay, is because I wanted to monetize the format, and I wanted to monetize. This was before I thought of it really doing a talk show, but monetize my video cast articles.
right. So a lot of success. It started growing. Parlor turned into something pretty big for you. What happened
Yes.
on January 8th of this year?
Well, again, I'm going to rewind real quick. From October to January, I built a following between LinkedIn, Parler, and Vimeo. So my articles were housed on Vimeo, and my parlor was driving about 75% of the views, maybe more. And my views went from a few hundred to a few thousand to I had upwards of 16,000 plus views per video cast article. Now, I over that period of time, I produced about 15 or so articles, and I was running them on all the social media platforms. At my apex, I had over 70,000 incremental viewers of my articles, and they were viewing more than one article. They liked them, obviously, and my views on Vimeo were going north of 250,000 views. So I was able to capture in a short period of time about 75,000 plus incremental viewers who are viewing multiple views of my video cast articles, exceeding over upwards of 250,000 views.
You brought a graph with you, is that correct?
Yes, I did. Let me go ahead and I'll pop that up. And you know, I'm not just going to talk about the numbers. I'm going to show the actual analytics from. Can you see that, Jay?
Oh yeah, we're seeing it.
Okay, so these are my Vimeo analytics, and so this was October, November, December, January, and this is just a couple of. I was only able to check off just a few of the videos, but this shows you that the activity was huge. I was getting in one day. These are incremental days. I was getting 3,000 is upwards of 3,000 on a single post. That's a single post driving that type of number. So I was getting outrageous numbers on during that period of time.
And then January 8th came, and I'm seeing to the right just flat line.
January 6th hit about here, and I was smoking it here. This is about the time I knew I could monetize the show. And then all of a sudden, this was about the 6th. And then after Amazon cut the feed, it wasn't so much the app being blocked in Apple and Google, in the Apple App Store and Google Play that hurt me. It was when Amazon cut the feed to Parler, which flatlined my show. And now, again, there was no organizing of violence at the Capitol on my show. My show isn't even about politics. There's no Trump, no pro-Trump, none of that nonsense.
Yeah, to be clear,
my articles are just strictly tech. They're tech-based articles, cybersecurity, privacy, child and consumer protection, and so forth. That's the message that my show brings to the marketplace.
Yeah, your content is not political at all. It's dealing with cybersecurity. Now, it's unfavorable to some of these big tech giants. They don't like it, right?
Right. Because I tell the truth about tech, you know. And,
right.
privacy.
But you're not QAnon or anything like that.
No, far from it. I'm actually I'm a libertarian, a conservative libertarian. I voted for both Biden and Obama back in the day, and I voted for Trump. You know, I'm an independent. I'll vote for whoever I think is the best candidate.
So let's set the stage here. So your business is doing great. Things are doing great. Parler gets shut down. Now, the reason Parler got shut down wasn't because of Rex Lee. Parler got shut down because I think like one person was saying something that Amazon didn't like. Well, that's the reason that they gave.
Well,
right?
they gave. I did a video cast article on this subject matter showing that it was more about antitrust than it was about safety and security. The fact is, on January 6th in the evening, CNN ran a report on what the social media sites that the violence and organization were on, and the majority of it, according to CNN, not exactly the most conservative news outlet out there, according to them, most of it was on Twitter and TikTok and Facebook. Why? Because that's where Donald Trump had his accounts. He didn't have a Parler account. He had upwards of if you aggregate all the viewers on all of his social media, he had upwards of 80 million viewers on all three, or followers on all three social media sites. So that's where the organization was taking place, was on those platforms, yet they were not deplatformed along with Parler, when Parler was just an excuse. And I believe this is my opinion only, but I believe it had something to do with the fact that Twitter had a major competitor on the scene, and this was a perfect excuse to wipe one of their competitors out. That's just my opinion.
So let's go with this. So AWS, for competitive reasons, might have taken out Parler, but they had to have been aware that they would take out hundreds of other businesses by doing that.
No, but nobody's focused on that. And I think there's an antitrust lawsuit. You know, I'll put it to you this way. It'd be like JCPenney at the local mall violating the terms of their electrical contracts with the electrical company. So the electric company shuts the electric off to the entire mall rather than just JCPenney. taking out all the other vendors who have nothing to do with the JCPenney issue with the electrical company, but yet they all suffered and are put out of business as a result of a dispute between JCPenney and the electrical company. Well, that was the dispute between Amazon AWS and Parler. It had nothing to do with the people who were monetizing Parler, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Gab, any social media outlet. There's people who have social media accounts with all of these companies who are making a living selling their products and services that were damaged as a result of Amazon's politics.
Now, at the Privacy Co-op, we have affiliates that are small businesses and medium range businesses. We have some larger ones too, but that we heard from some folks that were just like you. They were driving, traffic to their websites through the various social media sites. And when this one went down, it impacted them hugely in a big way. But, the biggest criticism that I've heard from folks when we start talking about this subject, they say, well, look, maybe they just showed up at the wrong party. Maybe instead of going to Parlay, they should have been on Twitter. But that wasn't an option for you, right?
No, I'm going to show you another slide. In August, I brought this up a little bit earlier. The reason I went to Parler, I was trying to patronize Twitter. I would have been buying advertising on Twitter, promoting my show, being a good customer to Twitter, but Twitter didn't see me that way. I don't know if it was the content of my articles that I wrote for the Epic Times, my association with the Epic Times, who've been repeatedly banned by other social media platforms such as YouTube and Google and so forth, or not banned, but censored. I would say more censored, not banned. But what was happening on Twitter was I kept getting this notice and my account would be suspended. It says my account exhibited automated behavior that violates Twitter rules. So basically what they were saying is that I look like a bot and that my tweets were automated. I don't know how 5 or 15 or 20 tweets a day is automated behavior. B, they know I'm a journalist. All they have to do is look up my account and my author page at Epic Times, because my Epic Times author page was on my account right there out in my profile. So they knew I was a journalist, yet they suspended my account. I wrote them. They told me it was because it was automated behavior. They would look into it, but it was 4 months had gone by and I still wasn't up. So I was literally forced to go to Parler because of this, what I call censorship by nebulous terms and conditions. They're not evenly applied to everybody. And this is the content that I was posting on Twitter, my Epic Times articles, my Vision Times articles, Mission Critical, and my new video cast articles, which this was my last tweet that I was able to catch a screenshot of on or about the August 5th when I got suspended. You can see that this tweet has nothing to do with politics, but it was a video cast article I did regarding a trade show I spoke at, which showed me speaking at the trade show through a virtual trade show, which was recorded. And I was talking about the terms of use that support social media platforms, apps, and so forth that support smartphones. That was the topic. And that's what tripped them off. And they, next thing you know, I was suspended for over, I think it took me almost 4 or 5 months to get my account back at Twitter. I'm there, but I don't post right now.
So in the 30 seconds we have left here, have you recovered?
No, not at all. It flatlined my business. I have since relaunched my business through IBM TV, which is now Pod TV, and thankful to them. We've been highly successful to them through an aggregate views. We've had almost 1 million views, but I haven't been able to monetize it. And then they switched to Pod TV. So basically, I've had to go up and down, and I have not recovered enough to get enough analytics back on Vimeo to go out and monetize my business. Here you can clearly see that I could have monetized at any time on Vimeo with these type of numbers.
Yeah.
But
Rex,
I'm dead. So.
This is a hard story to hear. It's a hard story to tell, but it's necessary for us to tell it. I want you to thank you for coming in tonight and sharing this information with us.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you for having me on. This has been very insightful. Thank you.
Have a good one. All right, we'll be right back right after this.
Watch out. Data from your car seat ends up at your health insurance. Data from your last meal with your tax assessor. And data from your banker flies to your travel site. At Privacy.coop, we call these insights, and businesses are selling them like crazy because you haven't told them to stop. Every cost in your life is now data-driven, and they're skyrocketing because of data inside inflation. You may be overpaying as much as $250 or more per month from inside inflation. If you had a drafty house and high utility bills, wouldn't you invest in storm windows and insulation to cut down monthly expenses? That's exactly what data inside inflation is like. Privacy.coop, a certified nonprofit authorized agent, helps you demand businesses stop exploiting your data. They'll even make them sign terms to license future use, driving down your inside inflation. Our lifetime co-op membership, only $25. Act now to secure your information rights at Privacy.coop. Value your rights.
Folks at Privacy Co-op, we take on the tough privacy predators and work hard to create a safe data world for your business, for you, and for your children. FANG, that's Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google, or FANG as investors call them, don't care about any of those. They are soulless, heartless corporations acting as cold, unelected sovereigns that together are creating digital replicas of your business, of you, and of your children for money and power. And if you think they can't digitally take you out, look no further than the story of Margaret Court and the mystery of the disappearing arena. Margaret Court, arguably the greatest tennis player of all time, 64 Grand Slam titles in all, 24 singles, 19 doubles, 21 mixed doubles. She's the tennis equivalent of Tom Brady. Well, not too long ago, Margaret Court shared her opinion about same-sex marriage and Google didn't like it. Opinion, folks. So Google decided to erase her from the map. Literally. You see, there's a stadium named after her. There should be. But Google wanted to change all that. And when they failed to actually have it renamed, Google simply changed it on Google Maps to Yvonne Goolagong Arena. Now, Yvonne ain't bad. 14 Grand Slam titles. Good on you, mate. But you, ma'am, are no Margaret Court. So if you wanted to find your way to a tennis match at the Melbourne Olympic Park, you would have to search for Yvonne Goolagong Arena, even though that's a lot harder to spell. You see, Google didn't even want people typing her name anymore. They wanted to simply expunge her, to digitally murder her, for her opinion. They later reversed this, but you can still type in Yvonne Goolagong Arena and get directions there. What a mess. What will happen to your business, to you, to your children if you ever cross Google's path, or any of the members of FANG? Is that how you want to live? Like an ant scared of a giant spider that can simply swallow you whole? In talking to many of you, this is how you feel, that the problem is simply too big to take on, too big to correct. Even nations can't figure out how to stop them because they are acting like nations themselves. Well, at Privacy Co-op, we have identified their weakness. You see, you still own the rights to all your information that you've created. You just need a good agent. And you need to work with everyone else. For even ants in sheer numbers can take on a giant spider and win. So how do you start? Will it take a lot of time? Will it take a lot of money? Let's make this easy. We're a nonprofit co-op and you can buy an owner's share for 25 bucks. Yep, you'll be an owner. Heck, with the promo code PRIVACY, it's 20. There are no hidden fees, no monthly payments. We don't sell your data. That would just be gross. But you will be an owner in an authorized agency representing you and everyone else. Then, in less than 10 seconds each, you can opt out of FANG and any other predator data spiders out there. Yeah, just like that. Don't worry about big tech any longer. Go to privacy.coop and sign up right now. And then search for FANG and stand up with everyone else and value your rights. You can still use their services. They just won't be able to use your data for all the secondary uses mentioned in their own privacy policies. If you want to donate to our cause, go to privacycoop.com/good. We're so grateful for all our backers. Become a member today, and let's turn the information rights tide on them.
In Private Eye News, Nicole Hannah-Jones, a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist for the New York Times, that started the 1619 Project, a controversial promotion of an alternative view of history that the United States is founded and systematically built on the idea of racism, is now being denied tenure at the University of North Carolina in an invitation-based professorship. After many historians wrote the Times with various criticisms, there were numerous corrections to be issued. It's important to get the facts straight when revisiting history, but now blame for tenure denial from allies of Ms. Hannah-Jones is being placed not on criticisms of her academic work, but rather on subsequent negative social media posts. We're unsure if they're saying that the university is more swayed by trending tweets than correcting facts, but either way, it's a mess. One more victim of the digital murder that we've been talking about for certain. Emily Wilder, an Associated Press reporter, was fired this past week for social media posts she made while she was in college. After landing a dream job at the AP, old provocative posts surfaced, and Ms. Wilder said in a statement, "I am one victim to the asymmetrical enforcement of rules around objectivity in social media that has censored so many journalists, particularly Palestinian journalists and other journalists of color before me." Just for the record, Ms. Wilder, you may want to look up the word asymmetrical and then have a chat with Elijah Schaefer, a reporter banned from Facebook for covering the Capitol riots back in January. When we sought comment from the AP, they said, "We have this policy so that the comments of one person cannot jeopardize our journalists covering the story. Every AP journalist is responsible for safeguarding our ability to report with fairness and credibility and cannot take sides in public forums." Apparently, they know what the word asymmetrical means and how to demonstrate it. Commenting on the unfairness of the firing, CNN's Brian Stelter said, "One person, even if you hate what they post on Twitter, they do not represent the entirety of a group." An apparent reversal from previous positions where he called social media posts from some echo chambers and bubbles. It's refreshing to hear this more recent sober take from him. In related weather, hell is freezing over. Nah, I'm just kidding, Brian. Had to work in the weather. All right, so Perry Bacon Jr. of the Washington Post was critical of social media cancel culture this week. Mr. Bacon said in what some sources called a rambling response, you be the judge, "What I'm worried about is it almost appears as if your social media posts from all time, before you worked at a place, or maybe your Facebook page, or maybe your private blog, There has to be more pieces, precise rules. Your Twitter when you work here is different than your Twitter before you worked here, or your personal Substack when you do work here. I think that's the problem. We're falling prey to this. If you're controversial, good journalists are controversial. That's part of doing journalism well. It's raising issues, it's raising ideas that are not in the status quo. So punishing journalists for being controversial is a bad norm that I'm seeing way too much, end quote. And to be clear, Mr. Bacon, run-on sentences are also bad norm, but it happens to all of us. But we do agree that it's wrong to cancel people for their opinions that they offer online, regardless of their current work status. Man, you can't make this stuff up. Hey, every news source wants to get it 100% right 100% of the time, but even the best slip up and have to make corrections. Last week, we shared with you steps that we had taken to clear up such an error. In an effort to make things right, those responsible for sacking the ones that made the mistake have been sacked. Yeah, so, we received complaints from a number of you that said that they didn't like hearing so much about our sacking of those responsible for sacking the ones that made the mistake. And we heard you. From now on, we won't tell you about it. All right, so, oh, wait, is this just in? No, I don't have time right now. I'll read it later. All right, so let's check one last story tonight. Our last story. Hey, folks, remember to hit subscribe and that bell thing and follow and like and share. And, that's how we pay the bills. And don't forget to watch to the end because we have something fun for you. We're sticking around, I assure you. And that wraps up Private Eye News for this week. We'll be back with our next guest, respected legal mind and piracy expert. There's a difference. We're going to cover that, Wayne Lowenstein, right after this. All right, and we're back, and as promised, we're going to bring Wayne Lowenstein into the studio right now. Wayne, it's good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Well, my pleasure, Greg.
Great to have a legal mind such as yours in the studio anytime. Hey, listen, before we get started, we start every interview with famous Bernard Pivot. He was a French philosopher. He had the famous 10 questions, but we're a nonprofit, so we can't afford all 10. We can only do 4.5. It's a redacted, heavily redacted and modified list of questions. And I'm going to start, Wayne. Don't let this throw you. It's the last half of a question that we were asking previously. So I'm just going to pick up right in the middle of the question, and I'll help you out if I need to. So, most desired taking dancing lessons with? That's the end.
Survey says my wife.
So for you, most desired taking dancing lessons with?
My wife.
Oh, there you go. Good answer. Google or Bing?
Neither.
Neither. All right. I haven't heard neither yet, but I still haven't heard Bing. I'm holding out for Bing. If you could change one thing about your education, what would it be?
MBA. Don't know enough about business. Wish I did.
That's a good answer. What is your favorite smell?
In-N-Out Burger.
Oh, good answer. Oh, you just got me. Oh, wow. When you get to heaven, who would you most like to take tea with?
Winston Churchill.
That's a great answer, too. Wayne Lowenstein, author, inventor, expert on streaming piracy, not privacy. Had to practice that all afternoon. Crime and censorship, social media, and drones. Your expertise is deep and wide, and we're just scratching the surface. But some of our audience is likely familiar with, Napster back in the day, and when they think of piracy, they might think of like BitTorrent or Pirate Bay. But tell us about your world of streaming, stealing, and sharing.
Oh, well, no problem, Jay. And, like the commercial says, I'm no expert, really. I just slept at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But more importantly, I am a part owner at the Privacy Co-op.
Hey, all right. I work for you.
Yeah, you do. You do. And I appreciate that. And it made a lot of sense to me. And it's certainly something that I came around to. So I started back last century in protecting pay-per-view broadcasts when Mike Tyson used to fight. And it was pretty much limited to cable and satellite, and people would splice wires together or have a smart card hack. And we would investigate. We still do it for pay-per-view events, movies, all sorts of things in the commercial setting and in some residential settings. Basic concept is like you have a right to something that you own, just like the Privacy Co-op would say. So what we started to do is engage in telling people, educating, listen, you can't steal it, you can't take it, and you have to pay for it, just like you're attempting to do quite earnestly with the co-op. And then as the centuries kind of blended, along came the internet. I said, you know what? I'm a lawyer. I'm now trying to become a recovering lawyer. So I said, I need to learn some new tricks because it's not cable television, it's not satellite, it's going to be the internet. So I went back to school, got a degree in cyber forensics and information assurance. And then I got a master's degree at Penn State University in Homeland Security and Information Assurance. Wow. So I now know where all the smart people like you are and how to reach them. And that's what makes me dangerous. Not my knowledge, but the people I know. So that's where I am. And along comes in 2016, the pièce de résistance. Periscope, which was eventually purchased by Twitter very quickly, and Meerkat. These were two instant streaming, so you could hold up your phone on the green screen and either be a recorder or a viewer or a streamer. One click, the perfect piracy tool. I gave a speech in 2016 at the London Stock Exchange where I played for many European rights owners, soccer, they call it football, rugby, cricket. And I said, folks, this is going to be a problem for you. And they said, no, it's websites like the Pirate Bay and things like that. I said, no. Everybody has a cell phone, a smartphone. So everybody can take advantage of that with the camera and either stream what they're seeing. And instead of like we talk about, let's say Napster peer-to-peer, with social media streaming, it can be peer-to-peer or it can be peer to millions. And it can happen instantly. And that's what I called nano piracy, the viral spread. And since the day, March 26, 2015, when Periscope and Meerkat launched, I have been evangelizing the goods, the bads, and the really ugly of social media live streaming. And fast forward, one of the biggest issues that's come to the fore is the FANG companies and who's in charge of the stream. And they have the ability to block the stream up, to dam it, to divert it, just like nature, okay?
Wow.
And there's being a flooding sort of sensation now behind the dam. They're doing everything they can do to plug that dam up, put the finger in the dike, like the old story from the Dutch boy. But concepts like privacy co-op, there are many legal theories of smarter people than I, including the concept of Marsh versus Alabama, which was from 1943. I did a post on it yesterday. Basically, where the company's store owns the main street, they become really a de facto government, a de facto state. If they are a state, then we get into the 14th and First Amendment. And there have been cases where the court system has said, you know what? They have such ubiquitous control over speech. And there's no question they do. listening to you and Rex and previously, they do. And every story we've heard tonight, they are the company's store. Okay.
Yeah,
Back
yeah.
to the
In a very
revolution.
Westphalian sense, right? They are sovereign.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So First Amendment protects us against the federal government encroaching on speech, free expression. 14th, by adopting the Bill of Rights into the states, so state action. So we're going to call this, and the theory is de facto state action. And that
Wow.
would be the FANG companies.
So if I'm a business listening to you right now, I just heard something new. I heard, the first thing that I heard you is I've got a some sort of pay-per-view, some sort of live stream that I've worked my tail off to generate. And what I'm hearing is that some bozo on one of these platforms could just use a cell phone or software like OBS, which is free, and they could just take that stream, rebroadcast it into their page on one of these platforms, let's say Facebook, and instantly get millions of viewers. So they're getting millions of viewers. I'm getting shafted. I'm not making a penny. But the thing that I just heard new from you was that at the same time, Facebook, who's controlling that dam, may be able to just shut that stream off and say, this is actually something we don't want to promote, and so therefore nobody's going to see it. You're going to get one viewer. Is that right?
It is their capability, but it's not their business model.
Yeah.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, their business is eyeballs. So what they do is they make content owners, let's say the football, soccer, cricket, boxing, whatever it is, millions and millions of illegal views happen every day. You don't see on their 10Ks or whatever their quarterly filings are with the SEC, oh, by the way, XYZ percentage of our viewers were watching pirated content. These are publicly traded company engaging, in my opinion, so nobody gets blocked. And I recommend everybody, if you're posting, put those words in there, in my opinion. Okay? You won't be liable for your opinion so far, although the world's changing.
You might get banned for your opinion, but yeah.
But that may give you rights. That may give you rights. Okay? You're not saying a fact checker can't say your facts are wrong if you're saying it is my opinion. It is not fact. Very important from libel law also. So
very true.
Yeah, those companies have tools where they decide who to shut off and who not to, and how long it takes. So if you're in a boxing match and a streamer puts up, and these bots put up every round, before they even get to taking them down, those streams have 2,000, 3,000. And somewhat they drag their feet, but they're protected. 230 is a very big protection for big tech and social media, where they can't be held liable for any wrong. It's
you just taught me something else. I'm very familiar with 230, and I understand the different angles people are taking on that. But this is the first time I've heard it protects piracy.
Oh, totally. By the platforms. Absolutely.
So let me ask you a question. So I'm one of those businesses. I'm getting ripped off. The piracy is happening. Is there harm to me? Are there harms that I could say, hey, this is a harm? Are there torts that are involved with something like that?
Well, absolutely. In the common law, there are torts, and that's what VFT was built for. So we can crawl all the major platforms through the front door. We don't want Cambridge. We don't want backdoor. Just like a user, and say, hey, what's out there? Okay, 500 streams every 15 seconds. And we can capture what they tell us. So just like a broadcast on Facebook says live, the duration is, and how many viewers. Just the public information. We can also get what public viewers have put their names in as liking, disliking, or commenting. Fair game. It's the public square. So we are totally transparent. We are only taking the data these companies put out there to the public. Not a shred more. Okay?
Wow.
So there's no privacy there. There's no GDPR there. There's no CCPA. We don't steal or take anything. No personal information. But what we do is say, Jay, your broadcast was restreamed illegally on X platform. And we said on that platform, we documented with screenshots, with the URL, it was for 20 minutes. And there were viewership ranging from 10 to 30, but the uniques ended up at 5,000. There's your damages.
There's your damages. There's the harm.
There's the harm. And in addition, did you know that they actually blanked out and pixelated your particular logos, okay, for the co-op? And they put somebody else's in there who's monetizing
Wow.
as subscribers. So they are ambush hijacking on live streaming, ambush advertising, if you will. That's their business model. And who makes a lot of money? Well, the YouTuber or the Facebook streamer makes some. Where do you think the majority goes? The house always wins. And
it's not hurting them to have.
adios.
It's not hurting them to have millions of viewers, is it?
No, in fact, it helps them quite a bit. They do, just think about those numbers. X billion people watch Facebook or Twitter's Periscope or Twitter Live. Ask yourself, how many of those viewers watched a crime? Somebody commits suicide? Somebody, engaging in human trafficking? We've documented all of it. But the billions are in movies, TV, and most importantly, sports.
Wow.
Billions
Yeah. You're staggering my mind. And we've already seen Google on this particular topic, at least it's related. I believe it was Australia. They were trying to pass some legislation to say, hey, if you're going to dip into our news sources and show them as streams directly, you need to pay some sort of royalty to these news agencies. And what did Google do in return? They just said, hey, we're going to cancel search for all of your citizens. You just won't be able to search for something in times of emergency. And they buckled the last time I heard. They caved to that. They just said, okay, no mas. You know?
And that was actually Facebook was the real bad actor there, who was retransmitting Australia's Sky News. All right. So now we're talking a big company and not paying them for the content. Yet Facebook was selling ads and everything like that. So now you have a nation, a sovereign nation, Australia, going to war with its ability to broadcast or have any communication on Facebook because Captain Z said, nah, we're just going to take our ball and go home. They did relent, but this is now an international conflict area where the FANG companies are more powerful than nations.
Yeah, I'm getting that. So, and I could talk to you all night long, but in the precious couple of minutes that we have left, two thoughts. Number one, if I'm a business that this is happening to, and I've got harm, right? Do I have remedy? Is there something I can do to take action here?
Well, we built VFT for one particular reason: self-help. If somebody's saying a lie about you, live streaming, an incorrect fact, or stealing, our piracy, anti-piracy clients, our patents tell us, or our patents allow us to put into live chat automatically messaging. This is a pirated broadcast. You may not know, and many people don't, because Facebook and the other, in my opinion, companies don't do a good job of telling them it's a pirated broadcast. So we put a message in the chat stream saying, oh, by the way, let's say this particular corporation, this boxing league or this football league, you're watching a pirated broadcast. And we put in a redirection link to a legal source so people can go there. When you put Sunshine as the transparency antiseptic, we drive thousands and thousands of viewers. And in particular cases where they're stealing somebody's, we will make people leave once they know it's not a legal activity. And most importantly, we've advised these companies that's what we do. And we've kind of locked horns, but I have data from the last 6 years. So I'm more than willing to go to a court and say, oh, by the way, you don't like what I'm doing? Well, here's the evidence with screenshots of billions of pirated instances. I'm sure various injured parties would like to know about that. So we're a self-help tool. You've got to help yourself.
How do our viewers find your tool?
Well,
how do they find the
it's
VFT?
proprietary, but you can certainly contact us at info@vft-solutions.com. You can also find us on LinkedIn, and we do have a website. It's specifically designed to tell you nothing. So because we get visits from all over the world.
I totally get that.
So
That's
we
smart.
like to keep it simple, and I like to be stupid. So it's been
Wow.
really a thrill to be with you. And Jay, you're really doing important work, because the copyrights I'm talking about, the intellectual property I'm talking about, you're offering that to all the privacy co-op people to enforce their own human copyright. It's just like it's fine for a movie studio to sue people for stealing. Why is it not fine for Jay to not enforce his privacy rights against these same people? Makes no sense.
Exactly right. I so with you on that, and I really appreciate the plug on that. Wayne Lowenstein, it's been fantastic having you on the show this evening.
Jay, thank you so much. I really appreciate all the good work you do, and I hope everybody stays safe and healthy out there.
Sounds great. Thanks. All right, and we'll be right back. That was a fast break. All right. Oh, hey. Okay, that's right. Forgot all about that. You know what that song means? It means that it is time for Cowboy Caboose, my favorite part of the show, because it's the end. All right, so if you were counting tonight, we asked 9 of our famous 10 questions. That leaves one left for you, our faithful viewers. What'd you think? Let us know. We'd like to hear from you at pi@privacy.coop. We look forward to hearing from you and speaking about hearing from you. Let's answer a couple of questions that came in if we have time. Looks like we have one question came in from Marcus, who writes, I've been shadow banned, so I just deleted my Facebook account. I recommend everyone do the same. Let's talk about that for a minute, Marcus. Certainly a free world, and if that's the way you feel, you should definitely pursue that. But let's talk about for a moment what happened. I'm going to beam up into our demo room here and talk about what happens when you quote unquote quit Facebook. First of all, Facebook doesn't consider you gone. They consider you suspended. What does that mean? Well, they're still collecting data on you, right? Even if you delete the app from your phone, Facebook has the wherewithal to collect data from all kinds of different places. They have APIs, that's application program interfaces. They have your operating systems. They're embedded there. They even have partners and other apps. They're going to continue to monetize that data. But there is one step that you can take, Marcus. If you go out to our website and scroll down, and what I'm going to do for everybody real quick, I'm just going to type in FANG. That's the group we've been talking about tonight. We have a group on our website that makes it very easy. There you go. There's the FANG cards. Let's take a look at this. We have scored their privacy policies for you. You can see how they do, how good, how bad. Some of them are doing better than others. But let's say that you wanted to say quit Apple, for example. I'll just go out here to make them stop. And when you click on this, just tell us how Apple knows you. So, I'm going to type in a fake email address here, just me at, mail.com. I hope that's not real for anybody. There we go. And I'm going to hit save. There we go. So there it is. You just started the process by opting out. And we'll do everything we can to help you make sure that we're protecting your rights. So, Marcus, I recommend that's what you should do to take care of this problem. And folks, everybody should be using these tools. Go out to our website at privacy.coop and use them. And we hope to hear from you soon. One last thing we have to say is that we are not out of time, but we are out of budget. I had planned some really cool different kinds of graphics and some really cool titles for you guys. But we don't have budget. So you know what? We just went out to some of these social sites because you guys don't care about your privacy, do you? Nobody's opting out of everything. So what we did was we just borrowed some of your videos and used those for our titles. So watch that. Maybe you see yourself, and we'll see you next week. I got a great show for you. Make sure you tune in. Until then, later, data-taters. Oh, yeah.